President Goodluck Jonathan has promised to take tough decisions to bring Nigeria's economy back on course, and he's urged Nigerians to brace up to the challenge in order to make the country productive again. Joining us now from Lagos to see whether the list of nominees for the presidential cabinet can indeed on President Jonathan's reform agenda, we're joined by Opeyemi Agbaje, CEO of Resource and Trust. Opeyemi, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
34 names gone to the Senate for approval. Let's start off with the number 34. You know, already we're talking about austerity measures in Greece and other countries like that. Is it not a bit of a bloated cabinet?
It is. Unfortunately, President Jonathan's defense will be that the Constitution mandates him to choose at least one minister from each state of the Federation. That means a minimum of 36. So expect at least 2 more. But even beyond that, we know that you should actually expect 8 more, as the report suggests that the president intends to appoint 42 ministers.
Senate obviously now is looking at the list, and then from there on they'll be interviewing some of the nominees. Talk us through that vetting process.
Well, I'm told, I've just spoken with one of the nominees, I'm told the Senate's confirmation hearings will start tomorrow. No portfolios are attached, but we expect the senators to grill the nominees on the basis of their antecedents, their specializations, and all of that. It should be a process, I think, that most of it will be complete within the next 2 weeks.
You say no portfolios are attached. Is that by way of what's being released to the public, or that's the status quo? Why would we not have names associated with industry and specific ministries?
That would have been the best practice, quite frankly. Unfortunately, again, the president is insisting on the constitutional stipulations which do not require him to specify in advance which ministries he proposes to send these gentlemen and ladies to. Of course, we have reports and intelligence as to where most people or many people are bound for, but that can only be a rumor until the confirmations are done and then the president formally assigns ministries to these ladies and gentlemen.
What we can read into the list so far is that 13 of the proposed names are members of the cabinet that he had in the last administration. So can we assume an element of continuity?
Oh, there's significant continuity. Yeah, you said 13 of them, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of National Planning, the Minister of Petroleum, several key, the outgoing Labour Minister, the outgoing Attorney General. So all of those gentlemen are back. From the business point of view and the economy, the 3 appointments or 4 that many of us will be looking at will be for the Power Minister, which all of us expect to be Professor Bartholomew Naji, who was Special Advisor on Power and who is driving the power agenda. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who was Finance Minister and head of the economic team under Obasanjo. She's on that list, coming back from the World Bank. The Minister of Finance, like I said, Olusegun Agaga, and the Minister of National Planning, Dr. Shamsuddin Usman, is also on the list. So you have a core around the economy that we can find interesting or acceptable.
Let's talk about some of those big names that you referred to. I think it's been a surprise that the current managing director of the World Bank, who's also Nigeria's former finance minister, is on that list. I mean, she did a stellar job for Nigeria in clearing up Nigeria's international debt and introducing surpluses into the budget when she was finance minister. But there was a sense that her work in Nigeria is done.
Oh, well, I personally had hoped that Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala will come back probably in the position of secretary to the federal government, so that she would have an opportunity to influence the Nigerian governance process beyond the finance sector into all the other ministries. But now we're told that she's negotiating some expanded power over the economy. We'll see how that works out. She'll head the economic team, most certainly. I think she's a big plus. She brings credibility into Nigeria's economic strategy. She brings international credibility. And she brings a whole lot of competence and commitment that is there in public office.
And I mean, obviously that's subject to Senate approval. We do know that the president had indicated that actually he'd be leading the economic team, that he'd be taking stewardship for the economy. So when you talk about these proposed names for the economic cluster, what would the role of the president then be?
The president has backtracked a bit from that pronouncement. He has indeed indicated virtually the opposite of saying he would take control of the economy. He actually said a few days ago that he would grant a lot of autonomy and powers to the economic team. So I think he's reconsidered that position, perhaps because he has succeeded in persuading someone he obviously has confidence in to come into the cabinet. But yes, he would still hold the ultimate responsibility in the eyes of the Nigerian people for delivering on economic aspirations. Right.
Now, for potential investors, Opeyemi, are the outstanding issues of the petroleum industry bill and the reforms we're likely to see around deregulation of the oil sector, its completion of privatization of some key power assets within the electricity sector, those projects are underway. But what sort of leadership is needed? Because we see that the former Minister of Oil, certainly in the last few months of the Jonathan administration, has been retained on this list. Is it still to handle some of those issues in petroleum?
I suspect that will be one of the most controversial of the confirmation hearings in the Senate. That of Diezani Alison Madikwe. There have been a lot of allegations. Perhaps these confirmation hearings will give us an opportunity to sift the truth from propaganda or from the antics of those who don't want her to be confirmed. We don't know. But certainly it will be a controversial nomination. There are many who didn't expect that name to come back. On the other hand, she seems to have the support of her principal, President Jonathan, and he obviously believes she's the one to drive all those reforms through.